Hi, I'm Josh Pirkl. I'm a senior mechanical engineer at Stantec. I have over 15 years of experience focusing on sustainable engineering and specializing in data center mechanical design. Data centers can be more sustainable and even achieve net zero carbon, but it requires a multifaceted approach. Data centers and server rooms need to meet a high standard for energy efficiency, and this is demonstrated through aggressive targets like power use effectiveness and water use effectiveness. Carbon neutrality requires a diverse energy mix combining renewable energy and technologies such as nuclear power for reliability. Advanced cooling solutions like liquid cooling are more efficient methods of removing that heat from the data halls, and that's more effective than traditional room air cooling. And some examples of this are direct-to-chip and immersion cooling. Local resources need to be considered when choosing cooling solutions. Is the power sustainable or does it come from coal power? Is there a plentiful water source or does the data center reside in an arid, dry environment? These are some basic questions we need to be asking when we develop these sites. Finally, materials should be considered. This includes repairing and recycling servers, repurposing waste materials, and reusing waste heat where possible to reduce overall environmental impact. Repurposing waste heat presents a huge opportunity to mitigate the environmental impact of data centers while benefiting the communities. Data centers are often criticized for their intense energy use, and we're approaching gigawatts of power per site for the new hyperscale facilities. Waste heat is often low grade, which means low temperature, but it can still be reused through technologies such as heat pump, space conditioning, preheating applications, industrial processes. Liquid cooling has the ability to produce higher grade waste heat, and because these systems often operate at higher temperatures. Beyond these environmental impacts, reusing waste heat can create some cost savings for the operators and can even create new revenue streams through partnerships with the local utilities.
Hi there, my name's Peter Sibley. I'm the nuclear director at Hydrock, now Stantec, here in the UK. We're an integrated engineering design firm. I'm a qualified earth scientist with over 20 years experience as a nuclear consultant, 10 of those with Hydrock, now Stantec. And I specialize in the provision of strategic advice on new build, generation and decommissioning projects across the nuclear sector. Nuclear has been proven over many decades and worldwide as a reliable source of secure, clean energy 24/7. In the context of data centers, which have high energy demand and uptime requirements, ensuring a consistent uptime for energy intensive operations is really crucial. So it's something that wind and solar, which are intermittent sources and weather dependent, can't do at the moment. Nuclear power enhances energy resilience as well, ensuring data centers can maintain uptime even during energy fluctuations. They're super reliable. And the scalability is key as well. Nuclear power, is scalable to the nth degree, really. The latest generation can be scaled to meet the demand requirements of your data center or any other application. So in terms of this scale, actually running an energy intensive data center can require as much as a gigawatt of power, which is a huge amount. And this can be provided by either millions of solar panels or just a single large nuclear plant, or indeed several modular plants as well. As Josh has been saying, there's a real proliferation of super large scale data centers, and of course the artificial intelligence boom is really proliferating that as well. So companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they really need clean power to sustain this artificial intelligence, and actually it's really helping to accelerate the revival of nuclear energy, and SMRs are really crucial to that. They're getting traction all around the world due to their potential cost effectiveness, how quickly they can be deployed, shorter construction timelines, factory manufacturing, making them very attractive to investors, including consideration of green technology or green taxonomy, if you will. But whilst SMRs offer really exciting opportunities, of course, deployment in whichever geography you're looking at is influenced by factors such as national energy policies, differing regulatory regimes, for example, a prescriptive regime versus a goal-based regime, and also access to sites. These things are supposed to be really flexible, but we need to move away from just citing them where nuclear has been cited previously. That said, They're really unproven at scale at the moment. And in order to achieve mass deployment, the technology must demonstrate its feasibility and reliability to the regulators. And indeed, public perception is really important as well. So regulatory hurdles set aside, the public perception and getting that social license is really crucial. And of course, governments need to be playing a part in this, need to help address misconceptions, foster transparency, and highlight nuclear's role in decarbonisation and the path to net zero. In the UK, as an example, sentiment towards nuclear energy is gradually shifting. Investments in job creation infrastructure, like we've seen at Hinkley Point C, a gigawatt scale power station, are helping to reshape public opinion. And of course, we've seen our own proliferation in data centres all over the UK. And nuclear is now hand in hand with that marketplace. You've got a lot of investors involved, you've got a lot of technologists, a lot of entrepreneurs, all vying to be the first power suppliers for the latest large data centres.
Well, we all know the data center industry was already growing, and through AI, we've kind of seen a whole new level of growth. AI is driving an unprecedented demand for these data centers, particularly here in the US. For example, the North American data center inventory grew by more than 24% year over year. We've also seen an uptick globally in the first quarter of 2024. The European data center market grew by almost 20%. So we're obviously seeing some unique challenges, but I think more importantly, opportunity for the data center and for the data center design and construction industry. Renewable energy and nuclear and the intelligent use of these energy and water resources, I think, are really key to developing these facilities in a sustainable fashion. There's not one silver bullet in terms of making data centers truly sustainable and net zero carbon. There's a lot of technologies that need to be implemented, and there's a lot of methods that need to be used. Nuclear is certainly one of them, and nuclear will help fill the gaps with the other renewable resources that we have, such as wind and solar, which we all know aren't reliable 100% of the time because the wind doesn't always blow and the sun doesn't always shine.
As Josh has been saying there, the proliferation of data centers in the US and also in the UK, I feel it's kind of private-public partnerships that are really going to be crucial here to drive forward not just the nuclear projects, but also the investment in AI and data set technology as part of our technological future. It's really thinking about nuclear beyond just being a grid scale energy provider, but being something a little bit more versatile and innovative. So, for example, in the UK, Ed Miliband, our Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change, he recently spoke very much in favour of nuclear power. And this is a really good sign that the government is behind this. This is not just about power to the grid. This is about power to support other technological developments. It supports hydrogen economy and all sorts of other things. And it's really part of the whole decarbonising strategy. The formation of Great British Nuclear is also a very positive and welcome step here in the UK. And it's really now driving forward that industry and government collaboration over taking nuclear development forwards. For example, in Suffolk in the UK, Sizewell C power station is a gigawatt power station, but it's going to receive 2.5 billion UK pounds of government funding to help de-risk the project, to support the imperative of national energy needs, and ultimately to make sure that nuclear technology is part of the conversation going forwards in terms of power needs of all scales. And finally, the commitments made by large financial institutions recently is a really good sign of optimism in terms of financing for the next generation of nuclear power at all scales, where SMRs will play a really, really key point in powering those data centers going forward.
In terms of data center design, both countries do have energy standards that need to be met, but I really feel like, we need to be looking at these more as a baseline and how can we design these facilities so that they're, X times better than baseline, and not just trying to check the box of did we meet code? Did we meet the energy code? We need to be looking beyond that.
I mean, there are some fundamental differences in the way that the US and the UK regulate nuclear. US is a more prescriptive regime. UK is more about goal setting. So they're actually quite fundamentally different. That doesn't mean you can't deploy in both. It just means you have to apply a slightly different set of approaches to how you provide your safety justification and look at in terms of consequence and things like that. But totally achievable. Absolutely. I think one of the things I was going to ask Josh is what what do we need to be telling data center vendors about how much more informed do they need to be about nuclear power, its applications, its scalability, some of the topics we've covered in this webcast, is there anything else that they're particularly hungry for, or is it all about program cost and when can I have it?
It is about program and cost, but there's public perception as well. I think that we're seeing a lot of companies pay more attention to that and being more mindful of their choices in terms of how they choose to power their data centers and the equipment they choose to specify within the data centers in order to be a higher sustainable, lower energy intensive facility.
We work with a couple of SMR vendors, and I think every SMR vendor we come across is talking to data center, and a lot of them are talking to the really, really big ones. It's really exciting. I think I did say in there we're not quite there at scale yet, and there's quite older pieces in the jigsaw. And we touched on some of those with the public, with the government, with the technologies themselves, the regulatory position, the site access. The list goes on and on and on and on. But I think it's quite compelling, not just for data centers. You look at the mining sector, you look at the hydrogen sector, future fuels, desalination. The list goes on and on and on. And this is all away from the grid, and it's really critical.